Hello everyone, this is Kev here from LifeSuccessEngineer.com, and today I am joined with a very special guest. We've got Jake. We've got Jake back on the channel all the way from the US. He's come to talk to us about his journey, what Jake's been doing over the last sort of 12 months now. He's got a fantastic story to share. He's been on the channel a couple of times, but I wanted to get him back on because there's been so much evolution in 2019 that I want to get him on, pick his brains, and just share as much valuable content as possible. So thanks very much, Jake. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So, okay. So do you want to just give, for those guys that have maybe not seen you before, Jake, and maybe not been introduced to you in the different Facebook groups and masterminds and things, do you want to give people just a quick introduction? Who's Jake? What brings you here?
Yes. As Kev said, I'm from the US, and I started my Amazon business by actually selling video games. A friend of mine was talking about how every time she goes on Amazon, she always looks under the used and new category. And I looked under there for a video game at the time, and I got the item and I went, okay, I could do this. And I went back to that listing, saw that there was a sell on Amazon, and then it was just ripping down the bunny trails after that. I started ultimately with video games and actually in pawn stores, or what you might call like a thrift store or something. And I noticed that it wasn't the easiest way to get products. So then I actually started with online arbitrage. So I started sourcing video games from GameStop. And I did really well. The first 9 months, I had about $123,000 in revenue. And then so that was March of 17, excuse me, to the end of March of 17. Then in 2018, I started looking at some other things, and that's when I ran into Kevin. He had just such a good point with his systemizing and having virtual assistants in that, because I knew small business owners also that were just all the time operating within the business, and I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to grow it into something bigger. And then I started working with Kev and getting into more online arbitrage with virtual assistants, and eventually becoming more of a manager of those virtual assistants. And now, like Kev said, I'm pretty much overseeing it, doing mainly the HR, the payroll, and a few random procedures that I still got to get cranked out to them, but I know exactly what it is. So I'm really excited for what comes from here on out.
Yeah, and yeah, for you guys that maybe want to see some the previous interviews that we've done, but I did an interview with Jake on Q4 of last year, and it was just stunning. His result of last year was just amazing. I think it was it $63,000 in 30 days, and working full time at the time as well. I think it's just completely mind blowing.
Yes, you're exactly right. 30 days, 63,000, and still full time then and now currently.
Exactly, and that's what's a stunning thing about you, Jake, for you to have achieved that level of success, and now you're quitting your job, which means that this Q3 and Q4 should be so much bigger. Hopefully, it has to be, because you've got so much more time. So, okay, so for somebody that's watching this now, then, I guess what we could start with is what's been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned on your journey? For somebody that's just watching this and going, okay, Jake, what's the best thing you could share with me?
The best thing that's coming to mind right now is that Amazon can just turn ship anytime. For example, when I got suspended in early 2018 for some authenticity claims on three of the video games, it was suspended as in no more selling. So I had to get down, write that plan of action, tell them what happened, tell them what I was going to do about it, tell them what the solution was so that I could get again active. Another hurdle are those IP claims. So I think it's infringement policy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right. It's IP claims though that you'll get from different thing. That is right.
It's intellectual property claims. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Intellectual property.
Yeah.
And that would be like somebody says it's counterfeit, or somebody says that it's inauthentic or whatever. So then you got to show them your receipt, and you got to jump through hoops there. Now, more recently in the US anyways, has been this pesticides quiz. So what they said is, if your shirt is antibacterial and it's to protect the human, or you have a mat and it's to prevent athlete's foot on the human, that's considered a pesticide. So you had to take this quiz to do it. Whereas if it's this drywall behind me that's gypsum board, probably that's treated with something to actually for the product, then it didn't apply. So that's what's been happening so far, but it's always something with Amazon.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I think for somebody that's, if you're watching this and you're in Amazon right now, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. There's been so many different changes over the last couple of years. Amazon, they're always going to evolve. They're always going to introduce new things. And for us, unfortunately, it's one of the amazing things about Amazon is the fact that we can use Amazon and it gives us that leverage, but also we're using their platform. So I guess that goes into the next question for you then. With these different changes that happen, with the experiences that you've got, what's your mindset and what's your philosophy on really protection for yourself? Are you working on another business model right now simultaneously? Is that the reason why you've systemized your business to give you that time to diversify?
Absolutely, absolutely. So right now, at the time of this, it's June. So this is like halftime for the whole year. I think you probably use the same term over there, halftime.
Yeah, halftime.
So the first period's done, and now we're in the second period. So this has actually been kind of me staring myself in the face here, because I'm seeing what's happened January, February, and all that, and now what I want to happen in July, August, and further. So this whole month is actually about like clarity of everything I'm doing, because I want to know what those big rocks are, because I had a little bit of shiny object when I look at the end of the year, because there's these things I want to do, but I just need to focus on what those exactly are. So yes, Amazon's going to change, and that's not all bad, because I'm working, you work through it as you go. But as Kev said, it's awesome having that customer base and that. But at the same time, though, my analogy is you're building your house on somebody else's land, aka your Amazon business on Amazon's land. So you always have to be playing by their rules. So yes, I am looking at things. Again, it's kind of unfortunately in a limbo stage. I know there's going to be probably some kind of ebook for sure. And I'm thinking merch by Amazon. So I'm thinking those are going to be kind of the two focuses, but there's a couple little ones that I'm not totally sure, so I won't mention them all, but they're just kind of floating around there. But this is the month though where I want to know, or not want to know, but I want to be absolutely clear in my head that that's what I want to do so that I can finish strong.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think I guess the takeaway here is like Amazon's fantastic. They really are fantastic, and I highly recommend anybody get started with Amazon. But you've always got to think about I think it was a great term that you said there. You're building a house on somebody else's land, which means that long term, if you are going to quit your job and things, then you're going to have to protect yourself, which I think everybody sort of got to the point where they understand that. So I guess a couple of questions for you then. We'll talk for somebody who's just getting started. Then we'll talk to someone like maybe a little bit more advanced. So just getting started question for you. What's your best advice for somebody just getting started? You could talk a little bit about maybe some tools or some business like retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. What would you say to yourself when you first got started? I mean, you've done multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars sales now. So what would you say to yourself right at the early doors?
I just wish I would have got started. I mean, I was, reading, well, I wasn't really reading things, but before that though, I had gone through like a real estate seminar, and I had gone and traded stocks and options during school, and I was doing all these things, but it took me a while to like start doing them. So when I started doing them, it was good. Whereas with this Amazon stuff, it didn't take me too long. Where, as I said, a friend of mine talked about they used a new category, and I'm like, okay, what's that? And then I looked, once the product arrived, I looked at that sell on Amazon, and I just kept taking steps. So for anybody starting, I would say just start taking steps. I mean, it's not bad setting up an Amazon account. You just you say that you're going to do it. You provide them, I think, an ID now, a social security number, a bank account, and maybe a credit card, and you're on your way. So I would just keep taking steps and learn along the way.
Okay, so I mean, all right, so get an Amazon account, and then how would you find what to sell? So somebody's just, I'm a complete beginner, I've just got my Amazon account, so how am I finding products to sell?
For that, you can download the Amazon app on your phone, and then it'll have a scanning app on it. I guess I could, well, mine's kind of over there. It has a scanning app right on it that you can scan the barcode of something. Here we go. I knew I had it here somewhere. You could scan the barcode of something, and it will pull it up and tell you what the product sells at, and it'll tell you all that information. So in the beginning, you can actually start with nothing. And as far as products, it kind of, I kind of vary here. So last 2 weeks ago, I did books for the first time. I just wanted to get out there, and I just wanted to see like what it's all about. In short, you go to like a library sale or even maybe a physical store. You could. I went to a library sale, and you just scan that barcode and bring it up and see essentially, does that product for a book is a little more complicated, but does it sell for $11 or more? So again, not the easiest. But with going to the store, though, you know, go to the clearance section or something like that and scan a product, and there you want to look for your buy price at essentially half of the sell cost. So say it's an $8 item, you want to see on Amazon that it's selling for $16. And so on the Amazon app, which again, I wish I could grab it out, it'll say the lowest price. So you want to look for something that's selling for double. And also on the app, I think it's over in the UK also, Kev, I hope so. It also tells you if you're gated or not gated on the item. So it'll actually like alert you now.
Yeah, it'll tell you whether you're restricted or not, yeah.
So it's gotten much easier, I think.
Yeah, and I guess for those guys that are just getting started and watching this, that's what we call retail arbitrage, going out to stores and like scanning products to potentially sell. And that's what I love about this business model. It is very practical. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what age you're at. It doesn't matter. Just go to a local store and start scanning things, or go to you can find things to sell everywhere, right? So okay, so that's some good advice. That's some good advice. So let's talk a little bit about somebody who has got started. Somebody who's maybe, I don't know, let's just say they've got some sales. They're maybe not full-time at this point, but they're getting some sales, and they're on a plateau. They're trying to break through. They're trying to get from, I don't know, if we want to do it in numbers, they're maybe at around about $10,000 mark. And how do you start to break through to the point where you now quit your job? You know, you're coming out of your job. What advice could you give?
So for there, I would see first, is that person a fulfilled by merchant or a fulfilled by Amazon? So if they're fulfilled by merchant, I would just switch to FBA, because you'll get, I won't say another 10, but you'd probably get another 5,000 revenue out of just making that switch. But you know, you'd probably have to be selling like video games or some higher cost item in order to be in that scenario. So let's say that they already are FBA. If you already are FBA, I mean, one easy way is is by focusing on those items that are higher dollars. So look back at your orders and see, what do I have going on? You know, what's really making me money, what's really not, and then just focus on those items. So that's probably the easiest way of doing it. But as far as like really scaling it up to, you know, 20 to 30,000, I think it's important to start building the team. So the way that I started doing that is, through learning through Kev, of course, about how to get virtual assistants looking on different websites for products that you can sell. So them finding the potential winners would be kind of the beginning there.
Yeah, well, you've got to start working on the team. You know, you get to a point where there's only so much you can do, and there's so much, and the more operations that you've got to work with, the more every task just becomes like bigger, like replenishing becomes bigger. You've got more messages maybe coming into your Seller Central account. You maybe have a couple of bad feedbacks here or there that you've got to deal with. You know, so as you start to scale, obviously the business just becomes more and more bulky. So, so yeah, having introducing team members, that I totally agree. Another thing I just wanted to put on there is just starting to introduce different ways of sourcing as well. One thing that's definitely worked for us is starting to add different categories. So at first we would just do toys and games, and that's all we were doing. And for a long time, it was like that's all we were doing. But then it was like, okay, I can sell groceries as well. I can sell health and personal care and home and kitchen products, and that's one way that you could start to, I guess, spread the net. Okay, then, Jake. So, just one more question, I guess. How do you manage your day-to-day working? So everybody's busy. Okay, so everybody's busy. We've got so many things to do. We've got life, we've got families, we've got business, we've got all these things to do. And I know you've got a family yourself. How do you manage, and what's the best advice you could give to what you've learned on how you're managing the building of your business as well as just general life?
When I was talking about how now we're at halftime and there's July, August, and I mentioned the big rocks. Well, that's pretty much how it goes. Is I'll know there's a wedding on this day, and I'm going camping with the guys here. We're gonna be in Texas this week, so I'll know those bigger themes, those bigger things. And then I try to, I don't know, this might not excite everybody, but I try to schedule my week as far as, let's go to the YMCA, the family. Let's go to the YMCA on Tuesday. Let's go to the YMCA on Friday to go swimming. What are some other things? You know, Tuesday it might be also Toastmasters at noon, which is a public speaking group. You know, there might be, so some type of, so the big rocks are first, then like some kind of weekly schedule. And then my weeks start on Sunday. So on Sunday, ideally, it didn't happen this week, but most weeks it does. I'll sit down and I'll decide like what's Monday before work, what's Monday at lunch, what's Monday after work before the kids get home, and then what's Monday once the kids are sleeping, and then Tuesday same thing, Wednesday same thing. So it's kind of the big rocks thing again, because I have before work, lunch, after work, before family, and then once kids are sleeping. So I try to do that, but sometimes you might add too many things in the day and it might go to Tuesday, or you might not have enough and you're kind of sitting idle wondering why you didn't schedule more. But generally then it's scheduling, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think the key thing there, what you've said, and I think it's a valuable thing, is the scheduling. It's the preparation. It's preparing, knowing what you're doing in advance, or having an idea of what you're doing in advance, instead of just waking up on the Tuesday, or waking up on, like, everybody knows that they've got to go to work, or, you know, if you've got a career, you've got to go to work, or you've got that appointment, or you've got to do this. But I think being proactive on the planning of your tasks, your goals, how you're going to achieve them, the action plans that you've got, I think that's a big thing. So I think that's a really valuable takeaway, just scheduling your weeks.
Yeah, so for example, you know, it might be like 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m. I'm prepping a shipment, or you know, before work I might be doing a new working procedure for the virtual assistants, or at night I might be editing a YouTube video. So that's kind of an example of what I would write down or what I would put in.
Yeah. Okay then. So, well, I want to thank you. Where can people find you, Jake? Where could people find? I know you're doing amazing work. I'm going to have all the links to find Jake in the description and things below. Doing amazing work out on Instagram and things. So where can people find you, and what could they expect by following you?
Yes, as Kev said, definitely check me out on Instagram at Jake._Diego, Jake_Diego. And in Instagram, I have a daily story of what I got going on. So it's kind of nice because it's like a vlog. You can see what I have going on. I mix some family in there though, so it's not always about Amazon, but I think that's important because that's important to me. And then on YouTube, it's just Jake Diego, and there I publish 3 videos a week. 3 videos a week, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll put all the links to Jake in the description below, so you can follow him. He's doing amazing things. He's got a vast amount of experience up until this point, like actionable experience, because he's been in the trenches. He's done it. He's got experience building the team, the virtual team, and your stories are incredibly engaging on what you're up to, what you're doing, and I just think it's you're really a great member of our reselling community. So. Thank you so much for coming on, Jake. I really appreciate your time. I know it's like 6 a.m., something like that in the morning, which is amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on, Kevin. I appreciate you. I know I don't always give you as much credit as I should, but you pretty much laid it out for me, man, as far as like the really basic stuff on hazardous materials and creating shipments, and then going on and actually becoming a manager of virtual assistants to ultimately being the business owner. So I really appreciate you. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, please holler at me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys got any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to jump in the comments. Ask Jake any question. Shoot him a private message anytime. He's a great member of our community. He's a moderator of our Facebook mastermind as well, which is always there to support you. So give him a thumbs up as well. If you watched this video up to this point, hit that thumbs up button so Jake knows that it's been worth it. So thank you very much, Jake. Can't wait to see what happens for the rest of your 2019, your Q3, Q4. I wish you all the best coming out of your job, and I can't wait for 6 months' time or so when we'll get back on the call and then just to learn what's been going on in your life over the next few months.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Take care, guys.
See you later.
Basically, in the bottom right, can you see this?